I have gained 150 subscribers since I last uploaded a countdown. Scheduling? What's that? Hey guys, Triforce of Doom here, and welcome to the final countdown of the RWBY Marathon.
There's a point where it tips, there's a point where it breaks, there's a point where it bends, and a point we just can't take anymore. There's a line that will cross and there's no return, there's a time and a place, no bridges left to burn anymore.
To end it off, we're talking about the fight scenes. Fight scenes were Monty's bread and butter, and that's no different here. Every fight has awesome choreography and timing, and thanks to each fight having different sets of combatants, each one is unique. These scenes also tend to introduce some of my favorite songs, so bonus! As with the other lists, spoilers inbound. With that in mind, let's get started. So, back in the first episode of this show, RWBY mentions how her Uncle Crow was the person who taught her how to fight. So when he does a proper introduction by fighting Weiss's older sister, I was excited. This fight not only shows off the main inspirations for RWBY and Weiss's fighters, but also shows how they're much more powerful than their younger relatives. Not many fights result in the entire fucking ground breaking after all. Crow knowing when to back off, not to mention being able to fight while drunk off his ass.
He's always drunk.
Was a nice touch as well. However, the next fights are just more epic. And now for one of the many fights that took up the Volume 3 finale. RWBY's final encounter with Roman. While it's not a super fancy fight with the choreography, the payoff of RWBY and Torchwick having a final showdown after 3 volumes is satisfying. The encounter happening on top of a giant airship surrounded by flying Grimm certainly helps with that. As for the fight itself, it's mainly the 3 of them trading blows while trying not to fall off, with Roman trying to give a breaking speech to RWBY. It gets pretty tense with everything else going on, especially when RWBY is stuck hanging on the edge of the ship for dear life. RWBY outmaneuvering Neo and knocking her off was satisfying to watch, although I do wish Roman's end wasn't so sudden. Seriously, while seeing RWBY give a flying kick to a giant griffin is satisfying, having one appear out of nowhere to eat Roman was kind of random, even if cutting off his speech made me laugh. This has to be one of the funnier battles in the whole show. Of course, when Sun and Neptune are in the scene, that's kind of a given. Being the first fight featuring the entirety of Team Sun, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. But this being the introduction to Neptune being afraid of water was definitely not it. That quirk, plus a few other aspects, are what helped make this fight so funny in the first place. From the banter between Sun and Neptune to the reactions from Indigo and Team RWBY, this dialogue is amazing. On top of that, the unique arena of half tropical, half desert makes for an interesting setting, letting both teams show off their skills from Dew and her Dust Devils to Scarlet and his agility on the pirate ship. A great mix of humor and fight choreography that ends on quite a shot. Wait. Didn't I already make that joke? Never mind. Okay, this fight may be short, but holy shit, Ozpin is actually fighting! So yeah, Cinder vs. Ozpin. I've been looking forward to this since Volume 1, and it did not disappoint. Sure, it was only about 30 seconds of fighting, but they made every second count. from Cinder just going all out to Ozpin doing Matrix-style dodging without breaking a sweat, and it ending with a massive Beam vs. Shield Ram showdown. The fact that they cut to the other fights, leaving people guessing for a few seconds, was also brilliant. Not a lot to say on this fight, but goddamn is it awesome! Ladies and gentlemen, the fight that made me go from liking the show to loving it! The main 8 fighting 2 Giant Grimm is so cool and was an awesome way to show off how well the two groups can work together. On the Juniper side, we have Jean quickly deducing the weak point on the Deathstalker Steiner and using all of his teammates' weapons to take advantage while also using his shield as a springboard for Pyrrha. And on the RWBY side of things, we have the team decently holding their own against a Nevermore, but not dealing much damage in return. Cue RWBY thinking of the insanely awesome plan of combining Gamble Shroud and Weiss's glyphs to slingshot run up a cliff and decapitate the bird, with Yang providing covering fire. All while the episode mix of Red Like Roses Part 2 plays. Our main characters, everybody!
Well, that was a thing.
So, who wants to see 6 teenagers fight a giant mech on a busy street? Because as it turns out, it's pretty epic. Happening partway through Volume 2, Team RWBY gets a rematch with Roman after Blake and Sun sneak into a White Fang meeting. Cue the two of them being chased by Roman in an Atlesian Paladin 290, aka a giant battle mech. As they reunite with the rest of the team, we get a 6v1 fight and it's awesome! The fight has car parkour along a busy street, the first time we see Sun's cloning semblance, and the first time we see Neptune fight, period. Of course, those two don't last long before getting launched off the bridge, but the fight after the remaining 5 land under the bridge is still epic, showing off just how much RWBY has grown as a team, to the point of having team attacks. What results is a beautifully created flow that makes quick work of the Paladin, and Torchwick only getting away thanks to the sudden appearance of his partner Neo. All of this set to the Sondai and at nighttime, and we still have 4 fights to go! So, what happens when you take 2 bored 4-member teams and put them in the cafeteria? Easy! The best start to a volume ever! As I showcased earlier in the marathon, each character has their own unique weapon, so replacing each of those with fitting items of food is so hilarious it works. From Blake using sausage links to Weiss, with her serious face mind you, wielding a swordfish. The only one who doesn't do this is RWBY, because how the fuck do you scythe via food? Alongside the cheesiness of it, they still use the same sound effects the real weapons make. Also, Nora launches Yang into the sky for 90 seconds via watermelon on a stick. Either they can reinforce weapons with Ara a la Haki from One Piece, or Remnant has the most durable / powerful food in all universes. Soundtrack in the fight is amazing too, since it starts with ominous Latin chanting, and stays pretty epic sounding throughout. For a food fight. What more is there to say?
I'm Queen of the Castle! I'm Queen of the Castle!
Oh yeah, that. And now we go from the Volume 2 opener to the finale. Team RWBY just failed at stopping a train with explosives from leading Grimm into the city. The result? One of the most epic Grimm slaughters ever shown. Starting with the team being surrounded by Grimm and denting the numbers somewhat, we start getting the cavalry in the form of Air Nora and the rest of Team Juniper, Sun and Neptune, Team Coffee coming in via airship, the Cinder Trio helping to keep up their facade, a shit ton of Atlas soldiers, and even Zwei the Corgi headbutting a few enemies. All this carnage to the tune of Caffeine, and it's beautiful. Some highlights being Jean taking down an Ursa all by himself, making a nice callback to Forever Fall, the previously mentioned Air Nora smashing a King Taijutsu skull in, Glinda backhanding Grimm with a look of "I am so done with today," and of course, Coco wrecking the collective shit of 3 Beowulfs, 3 Nevermores, and a Deathstalker with her handbag. That's also a Gatling gun. Holy shit. And now for one of the many fights that make up the Volume 3 finale. Who will win? A bunch of teenagers with gun hybrids, or a bunch of high-tech security robots and Grimm? Well, when all the teens were trained in battle schools centered around teamwork, the only big challenge they end up facing is Exhaustion and the Elysian Paladin 290s, who are, mind you, very sturdy. All the smaller mooks and Grimm are shown getting beaten in glorious fashion, from Jean one-shotting an Ursa to Neon outmaneuvering a Borbatusk. Eventually, there are 2 paladins left, and most of the weapons seem to be doing jack and shit to them. Cue Coco telling Velvet to use her weapon, which is everyone's weapons. She does so while Anime Fall plays, making nice work of one paladin before the other one knocks her away. Cue Weiss adrenaline summoning her semblance to create a night arm to block what would have been a finishing blow on Velvet, and then cleaving the robot in half. A surprise 3rd paladin appears, but the results of a separate fight make it malfunction at the last second, which is a good thing since the previous enemies left everyone leaning on their weapons exhausted. A cool way to show off everyone's abilities, and just an awesome fight overall.
Do you believe in destiny?
And with that line, I have everyone, including me, inflicted with feels. So, yeah, Pyrrha fights Cinder. Considering Cinder has the full power of the Fall Maiden at this point, Pyrrha got Jean the hell out of Dodge against his will, and things are tense. The tone makes up half this fight. The other half, pure beatdown on both sides. From Pyrrha doing a flying shield bash to Cinder playing a very effective defense, both combatants aren't holding back. At one point, Pyrrha tries to crush Cinder with giant gears courtesy of Ozpin's now destroyed office. Jeez. However, that's not quite enough to stop Cinder, as she uses both the Fall Maiden power and her natural ability to just blast the gears away. Things are pretty even, but then it happens. The part that made the collective audience go, "Ah, shit." Pyrrha fails at blocking Cinder's arrow, is crippled after it hits her ankle, gets an arrow to the heart, and disintegrated. This fight, as well as the whole finale, showed that Monty was done messing around. Pyrrha was the first main character to die. The impact this fight had on the entire series, as well as the audience, is what earns it the #1 spot. This has been the Triforce of Doom. Peace out.